We have met with all 17 political parties in the country, and they agree with the ANC. They've also raised their views in terms of what needs to happen in terms of the way forward. And we hope that we'll work with many of them in the election of the President and the Speaker. I'm not in a position at the present moment to deal with the details, as that is a matter that is still in the discussion. And once that it is actually concluded, which is really a detailed, fundamentally the most important point for us is foundational principles, which the discussions have not been characterized by transactional engagement, where people come to the table and demand this and that. They understand the moment require us to move forward faster, and then all other ingredients of the government of national unity will be defined in a strategic framework that we are working on as we speak. And we're working against time because we thought Parliament will sit later, but we're sitting tomorrow, we are there. So we've been working every day over time, and that's what is important.
Thank you very much. SABC?
Mr. Mbalula, you said that you can't make the details of the framework public, but as much as you tell us in due time if you're going to be public or not, will the GNU be binding, legally binding?
The statement that I've read to you for the second time, we said that we must, because define constitutionally what GNU represent today. We are not looking at something that is going to collapse like a municipality of Johannesburg or Ekurhuleni and changing the mayor every weekend. So what is important here is that we're governing a country, and then governing the country requires that the GNU itself, as much as the foundational principles are clearer, the most important question, how is it kept together for a period of time and not being petty and not it becoming a melting pot of political parties coming in there and swallowing their identity and failing to hold others accountable in the process of governance. So that's what is important. So the question is how that is going to be. It's a matter that we will keep working on. We don't stop tomorrow. And those who are part of this will be part of the process of shaping up what needs to happen about this GNU phenomenon, including institutionalizing it to an extent that it becomes part and parcel of the framework of the law in the Republic of South Africa. That will guide us for the next 5 years.
Stembile?
Which parties have formally indicated that they accept an invitation to join the GNU? That's the first one. Then is the ANC giving itself a deadline that by 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, you must have a sense of who you're going to vote, the president, the speaker, etc. Then which leaders will President Cyril Ramaphosa be meeting this evening? Julius Malema has indicated that he is one of them. Will be meeting John Kennedy, for example. And then the last one, the EFF has indicated that they don't want to join the GNU, but they would like to join the speaker or in any other capacity. Are you negotiating outside of the GNU for any reason with any party?
We have negotiated, not negotiated. We have engaged in exploratory discussions with MK Party, and we will continue to engage with them in exploratory discussions. We have engaged in exploratory discussions with the EFF, and we did not find each other on the issue of the GNU. We have accepted that particular point. We move on. We have engaged with the DA. We agree on the GNU with them. We have engaged with PA. They agree with the GNU. We have engaged with UDM. They agree with GNU. We have engaged with the IFP. They agree with the GNU. We have engaged with Al-Jama, albeit with the reservations. They agree to work with us going forward. We have engaged with Rise Mzansi. They did not have challenges, except matters of the detail in terms of how the GNU is going to shape up. They are not fundamentally opposed to it. We have engaged with Freedom Front Plus. They've agreed to the GNU, and we have engaged with National Colored Congress. They've also agreed, but have got reservations in relation to how that shape up going forward. So we have not spoken to UAT. We have not spoken to Action SA. Because UAT, I think it's just a question of time. We will talk to them between now and tomorrow and engage with them and so on. Action SA, we are open to engaging with them, even though we know that they've pronounced that they don't want to talk to the ANC. We think that is something that constrain engaging with them, but nonetheless, we have not closed the door from talking to them. So we've talked to all more or less 17 plus political parties except 2. And then you know that other political parties have been in court, not knowing whether they will be there tomorrow and all of that. But we have had exploratory discussions, which were good and exploratory and progressive and all of that. The spirit of the discussion in terms of the foundational principles of all of this is that you don't share power, but you work with others in a way of cooperation. And then in this particular instance, the ANC would like to work with as many political parties as possible. We have spoken to the IFP, and also they've agreed to come to the party in terms of the GNU. So that to us represents a major breakthrough. The question of the detail of what happens tomorrow, it's a matter that will be pronounced by the parties concerned overnight and up until tomorrow. That will happen. The work doesn't stop tomorrow. It continues to the formation of government itself once the president is elected. But also in terms of working in the legislatures, these are uncharted waters in which a majority party like ours is reduced with its majority, and now it has got to work with other political parties within a framework of collaboration, which we have never had before except at local government. Now at national government, we've got it. How do we then deal with that particular matter going forward? So our discussions is not a discussion with partners, it's discussion with political parties irrespective of ideological and political background. Of course, others want to narrow us to the ideology when the posture and the moment does not allow. It is very easy to say, let's work as black political parties and do that. We can argue the whole night about the ideology. We in the ANC do not subscribe to the notion of just narrowly black political party, because in terms of our existence and understanding of South Africa, we subscribe to colonialism of a special time. That South Africa was colonized, but it became a colonized country where the colonized and the colonizer coexisted. So we are different from others precisely because of that. 2, we are non-racial because in our conceptualization of the struggle to liberate our people, the primary contradiction are about the resolve of the national question, which primarily it's about, yes, it is class, but gender and race, because we were divided in this country in terms of race and racially segregated. So the question of resolving the national question primarily is what informed the ANC and how we approach the South Africa's situation and struggle and liberation for the people of South Africa. So we are not just a party that exists without ideology and just grab everything else that passes by, and we don't understand ourselves and where we come from. The notion of blackness arises in the context of others, where in which it is not clearly defined from the point of view of ideology. What are we talking about? And working in cooperation, it doesn't mean that tomorrow you become that party or that party becomes you. It means here is the moment. You have lost power, and in losing that power, you need to work with others to achieve the result. But it doesn't mean that you are going to die. We have never died in 1994 with 62%. We'll never die with 40%. 6 million people want us to live, and we are going to live. Living means pursuing the national democratic revolution. And that is what is fundamental to us in terms of our policies, in terms of our manifesto, and that is it. We are not going to pursue a manifesto of another party or be forced to become another party and all of that. Neither will those parties accept to be. Yeah, we are talking to people who wanted us to be below 50%, and they've achieved that particular result, including those who characterize themselves as left. They wanted us to be in this moment. Now they want to lock us into a prison because that's what they wanted to achieve. We're not going there, to that prison. Whether you can call it Paulsmo and all of that, it will remain empty without us. We are standing on the side of things in which we say, let's work together. And that is what is fundamental to us. And this working together is not transactional. It's not about, I want this post and that post, I want this position and that position. The question is, how do we work together with this result to serve the people of South Africa better? This is what the people wanted. We didn't want it. And then we interpret what the people want correctly in order to serve the people of South Africa. And that is why we say, in the foundational principles, one of the important and imperative that we need to subscribe to is constitutionalism, the rule of law. And at the same time, we need to subscribe to non-sexism and non-racialism. You know, the binding principles that arise out of our constitution. And that is what is important. And then we work for South Africans. Everybody who subscribes to the notion that we are for South Africa first. This is where we are. And then let's go and move forward and work together as a nation and as different political parties. It doesn't mean that we are going to agree in this parliament and it's going to be nice in the next 20 days and so and all of that, or in this government and all of that, but we are going to move South Africa forward in a particular strategic framework to get things to happen.